Are there zombies in China? A video that was released has caused a lot of discussion on social media and news outlets. People are asking if this is the start of a zombie apocalypse, with some believing the video to be real. Others suggest it might be nothing more than an elaborate hoax, but regardless of whether or not it's true, one thing is certain. If there was a zombie outbreak happening in China, it would have abruptly been kept under wraps by the Chinese government. So what do you think? Is this the beginning of a zombie downfall, or simply just another internet hoax that we'll laugh about one day? This machine from the past, a mysterious vending machine appeared one day on the corner of John Street and 10th Avenue in Seattle's Capitol Hill neighborhood. With just one option, mystery, the machine dispenses rare and discontinued sodas from the 80s. Many people have tried to figure out who owns and operates this machine, but no one's been able to. Could this vending machine be a gateway to the past? Who knows what it will bring next? Was someone hiding inside their home? In 2014, the Broaddus family made their dreams come true and purchased their ideal home. However, shortly after they settled in, they began receiving anonymous letters from someone signed off as the Watcher.
A dearest new neighbor, allow me to welcome you to the neighborhood. 657 Boulevard has been the subject of my family for decades. My grandfather watched the house in the 1920s and my father in the 1960s. It is now my turn. Do you know the history of the house? Do you know what lies within the walls of 657 Boulevard? What are you here for? I will find out.
The letters were eerie and almost as if they could see into the family's life, knowing details that no one else would. This terror continued to escalate over weeks, with more letters coming in that knew what the family was up to, some even mocking them. In reaction, they sold their house for a loss of $400,000, only to receive one final letter saying, "You are despised by the house. The Watcher has won." Could there be a hidden ancient civilization beneath the surface of our world? For centuries, conspiracy theories have speculated that the earth is hollow and that deep within its depths lies a thriving kingdom known as Agartha. Admiral Richard Byrd and his team made an amazing discovery during the largest expedition to Antarctica in the 1930s. They discovered what they believed was an entrance to a secret world. All of Admiral Byrd's findings were recorded in his private journal, but he was later instructed by the government to remain quiet about it. So why did they try so hard to keep us from knowing what is down there? What secrets do they hold? And are we finally close to discovering the truth of Agartha? Did the Titanic actually sink? Despite the well-known story of it hitting an iceberg and sinking, well, this just might not be true. The owner of the Titanic had two ships, the Titanic and the Olympic, which was older and damaged from previous trips. Well, they decided to swap out the Titanic for the Olympic before departure and gave it a fresh coat of paint. So they did this in order to recoup some insurance money for the Olympic. Even more suspiciously, JP Morgan, one of the world's most powerful people at the time, backed out of his ticket minutes before its departure. A ghost story that will make you think twice before going into a basement. In an old apartment building in the heart of New York City, there lived a young boy named Timmy. Timmy was an adventurous child, and he loved to explore the many nooks and crannies of his apartment building. He would often be found sneaking around the hallways and exploring the roof of the building. One day, while playing hide and seek with his friends, Timmy stumbled upon a door leading to the basement. Intrigued, he decided to investigate. As he descended the stairs, he heard strange noises coming from the basement. He shrugged it off, thinking that it was just the old pipes making sounds. But as he reached the bottom of the stairs, he saw a metal duct that was large enough for him to crawl into. Without hesitation, he squeezed himself into the duct. Timmy had never felt so exhilarated in his life. He crawled through the duct feeling like he was on an adventure. But after a few minutes, he realized that he had gone too far, and he couldn't find his way back. He tried to retrace his steps, but it was no use. Timmy was lost and trapped. As the hours passed, Timmy became colder and colder. He cried and he screamed for help, but no one could hear him. He started to feel weak and eventually he passed out. When his friends couldn't find him, they called the police and they searched the entire building, but Timmy was nowhere to be found. Days turned into weeks, and still no one knew where Timmy was. It was as if he had vanished into thin air. But as the weeks passed, strange things started to happen in the building. People would hear strange noises coming from the ducts, and some claimed to have seen a ghostly figure that looked like Timmy. Residents of the building were terrified. Some of them started to move out, unable to bear the eerie occurrences. The landlord, Mr. Johnson, was at a loss. He had never dealt with anything like this before. He called in a paranormal investigator, but even he couldn't find any logical explanation for the strange happenings. One night, as Mr. Johnson was making his rounds, he heard a faint cry coming from the basement. He quickly ran down the stairs and opened the door leading to the basement. As he descended the stairs, he heard the cry getting louder and louder. When he reached the bottom of the stairs, he saw this metal duck. He remembered the story of Timmy. He knew he had to open the duck and find out what was inside. As he opened the duck, a cold gust of air hit him in the face. He couldn't see anything inside, but he could hear something moving. He reached in and he felt something cold and clammy. He recoiled in horror as he realized that what he felt was a hand. He quickly called the police and they came into the building to investigate. When the police opened the duct, they found Timmy's body frozen and mummified. His death was ruled as due to hypothermia and starvation. From that day on, the residents of the building avoided the basement and the metal duct for fear of encountering the ghost of Timmy. Some say that to this day you can still hear his cries for help coming from the ducts, a constant reminder of a tragic fate of a little boy who had got lost in a maze of ducts, never to be seen again. Don't forget to subscribe for more chilling stories like this one and turn on the notification bell so you'll never miss a new upload. What is hiding in our oceans? In 1958, NASA began mapping and charting the oceans to gain a better understanding of our planet. However, the program was abruptly halted on June 28, 1978 after some unexpected findings. What could have been so alarming that NASA's ocean exploration program had to be stopped? Some believe it was evidence of an otherworldly life living deep in the depths of our sea. Tales of creatures like the Kraken and the Megalodon are now considered more than just myth. NASA has yet to reveal what they discovered during their exploration of our oceans, leaving us all wondering what could be living down there. Could it be Lovecraftian horrors of otherworldly creatures beyond our imagination? We may never know until we dive deep into the oceans once again. Are aliens watching everything we do? Aliens have been the source of fascination for humans for centuries, and recent sightings seem to indicate that they may be watching us closer than we think. It has been theorized that aliens are monitoring us due to the threat of nuclear war, as such a conflict would not just affect our planet, but potentially theirs as well. When World War II was ongoing, there was a noticeable spike in UFO sightings, and most recently when Ukraine was undergoing its conflict, alien activity increased significantly. Some believe that this is because upon the threat of nuclear war, aliens become more active to assess the potential impacts on their planets. Is the moon a space station? Scientists have uncovered evidence that suggests that the moon may be hollow. The NASA mission Apollo 12 crash-landed a lunar module on the moon's surface to measure if it experiences moonquakes with the seismometer. To their shock, they discovered that the readings were like those of a bell ringing back and forth, an indication of a large gap between the moon's surfaces. Supporting this theory is that the moon is made up of basalt, a material that absorbs impact quickly and efficiently. If it had been whole, there would not be a ringing upon impact, indicating its hollowness. So, never enter the back rooms. Rumored to be an alternate dimension, they are said to lurk outside the realm of reality. If you happen to glitch or clip out, you may find yourself within 600 million miles of randomly segmented empty rooms. Stale air drifts through the area, thick with stench of damp carpet and the buzzing of fluorescent lights set on high. As a precaution, if you hear anything stirring nearby, it is advised that you take leave promptly. The only way out is to complete a series of difficult tests. Few have accomplished this feat, leading many people to think that once you enter the back rooms, there's no going back. With so much speculation and mystery surrounding this dangerous place, it's enough to draw in any thrill-seeking soul curious enough to enter. Lizard people are running everything. For centuries, rumors have circulated about a mysterious reptilian race known as the lizard people. They are said to come from the Alpha Draconia star system and have a sinister plan for world domination. Conspiracists believe that these creatures have infiltrated world governments and used their power to control virtually every aspect of life, from media to finance. Recently, strange eye movements and bizarre behavior from supposed celebrities or leader lookalikes have given evidence pointing towards this secret race's existence. This has left many wondering what beings with such power must be capable of. What is the truth behind the lizard people? Could these creatures be as powerful as we think and are? YouTubers who became criminals, Part 1. Elliot Rogers went on a killing spree in Isla Vista, California on May 23, 2014, where he killed 6 people and injured 14 others before taking his own life. He began the attack by stabbing 3 people in his residence, then shooting 3 women in front of a sorority house, killing 2 of them. He also shot a man at a deli and exchanged gunfire with police before taking his own life. He just disappeared. On November 24, 1971, Dan Cooper hijacked a Northwest airline flight from Portland to Seattle, demanding $200,000 and 4 parachutes. After receiving the money and allowing passengers to leave, he instructed the pilots to fly towards Mexico City. He then disappeared from the plane, never to be seen again. Despite an extensive manhunt and ongoing investigations, Cooper's whereabouts remain unknown, making it one of the most intriguing unsolved crimes in American history.
Never go down Evangeline Road, Louisiana. 2015, a group of urban explorers go searching for a local legend. This creature is said to be the spawn from a satanic ritual performed by a group of outcast circus performers in the late 1900s. They were deep in the woods and night was fast approaching, so they decided to set up camp. But it's what happened when one of the explorers went to pee that sent shivers down my spine. It was way darker than normal that night. The man walked about 10 feet from the fire and behind a tree. But when he turned around to go back to camp, everyone was gone, and the woods was completely silent. He called up a friend to tell him what had happened so that if he doesn't come back, someone would know why. When the Rangers got to the campsite, the scene was horrific. Blood and body parts were everywhere. What happened to the explorers, and why didn't he tell his friend that the others were dead?
Was Disney's Frozen a cover-up? For years, rumors have lingered that Walt Disney's body was cryogenically frozen and hidden beneath the Pirates of the Caribbean ride in Disneyland. Those who heard these whispers believed that Disney had been obsessed with cryogenics and wanted to experience the future when he could reawaken once technology had advanced enough. However, no one ever expected to see photographic evidence of his frozen body until suddenly a mysterious image appeared on the internet. The gravity-defying leak sent shockwaves through the Disney community until finally it all seemed to vanish without a trace. The only explanation for the sudden disappearance is that Disney, to protect their beloved founder from public scrutiny and ridicule, released what is perhaps their most famous feature film, Frozen, as a cleverly designed diversity tactic to alter Google search algorithms and stop users searching Disney and Frozen from discovering any more information about Walt Disney's unfortunate fate. Did the Kardashians make a deal with the devil? The Kardashian family has always been known for their fame and wealth, but how did they come to acquire such vast success? Legend has it that an ancestor of the family made a mysterious and sinister pact with 4 witches in Armenia. Since then, the female members of the family have been blessed with abundant luck and fortune. However, their male counterparts seem to suffer from one misfortune after another. Just take Scott Disick, Travis Scott, Caitlyn Jenner, and Kanye West as a few examples. Scott struggles greatly with alcoholism and depression. Travis's career was completely derailed by controversy, and Caitlyn's come out was met with disapproval from within her circle, and Kanye quite literally gone off the deep end. It's hard not to question if this family is stuck in some sort of dark destiny, but only time will tell if this rumor is true. Follow, because my next story is crazy. Has our history been altered? Throughout history, the lost civilization of Tartaria has been shrouded in mystery. This enigmatic society was thought to be much more advanced than any other at the time, capable of accessing and utilizing atmospheric energy for electricity. This gave them access to unlimited and free energy, which they used to invest their efforts into the pursuit of creativity, love, and self-development. Tartarian Empire advancements and achievements were said to have been vast, with great buildings and structures created all over the world. However, due to their influence, it is believed that an oppressor destroyed this civilization completely, knocking down buildings, erasing evidence from our written records, and silencing stories of this once great culture. Thus, people today use this story as a reminder of why it is important to stay vigilant against tyranny and oppression. Follow, because my next story is crazy. Is this Bible prophecy coming true? Many people's been watching the Euphrates River anxiously, wondering if it will be the sign of doom foretold in the Bible when the ancient fallen angels are released from their watery prison. The river is almost dry, and it seems that time may soon be coming. But long before they can wreak havoc, there will be great signs in the heavens and on earth that will signal the end times. Earthquakes, plagues, wars, all of these will come first. Then when finally the river dries up, a chain of prisoners will be released, and God will set forth his plan for Judgment Day. Follow, because my next story is crazy. This story will make you scared of the woods. A man and his dog were staying in a very isolated cabin in the backcountry of Oregon in early 2010. One day he saw footprints leading up to his cabin, but then they disappeared. He was confused because there were no other cabins nearby. That night he woke up to the sound of someone walking on his roof. Though he didn't want to, he headed to the balcony to take a look. Nothing was there, but then his dog saw something in the forest and started growling. That's when he saw it. A freakishly tall figure squatting on a branch only 20 feet away from him, just staring at him. As he was backing up, he tripped over the door jamb, falling to the ground. He jumped up, grabbed his dog and locked the door, ran to a nearby closet and locked himself in. For hours he listened as the creature knocked on the house, as if asking nicely to just be let in. Follow, because my next story is crazy. 9 people just vanished. In 1959, 9 experienced Russian hikers went on an expedition up the Dalat Pass and never returned. It's what the bodies look like when found that has left many that search for them with nightmares. When arriving at the campsite, they found that all the tents had been cut open from the inside. The gear was still there and it was folded and stacked inside their tents, but there were no bodies to be found. Only 9 sets of footprints leading away from the camp. When finally found, the men had fatal skull fractures and chest fractures. One was missing her eyes with some additional mutilations. They also seemed to be radiating radiation. Who or what was so powerful it could outpower 9 men, crush their bodies, and survive without leaving a trace of evidence? The official cause of death is still unknown, but whatever force made those people die surely left behind a feeling that would scare anyone who goes near that mountain. Follow, because my next story is crazy. Did we really go to space? Have you ever looked up at the night sky and wondered what might lie beyond it? Rumor has it that there is an unseen barrier around the world that has prevented us from venturing outward into space. In 1962, the US government conducted an experiment known as Operation Fishbowl to test the atmospheric reaction to nuclear weapons, but some believe that they were attempting to break through this invisible partition. Reports from those who have looked at the stars with their own eyes and through a camera lens describe them twinkling or shimmering through a liquid-like substance, leading further belief to this rather eerie theory. Could it be true? Even rocket launches appear to hit an unforeseen ceiling, resulting in a ripple effect reminiscent of water, leading us to ask again, what lies beyond our world? Follow, because my next story is crazy. What they found in the water will make you sick. In 2013, a Canadian student traveling alone through California decided to spend the night in a sketchy hotel in Los Angeles. After not checking in with her family that night, police discovered that she was missing. CCTV footage showed that she was pressing buttons in the elevator and hiding before running away. That's the last time anyone saw her alive. Weeks later, residents of the hotel noticed an odd taste in the water, leading them to discover her body floating in one of the tanks on the roof. They ruled it an accident, but that would mean that she managed to get onto the locked roof, climb a 10-foot high tank without help, open its lid and crawl inside all by herself. Follow because my next story is crazy. Most unusual deaths, part 1. A man from England named Alex Mitchell died unusually after a long day of laying bricks. He tuned into his favorite TV show, The Goodies. During an episode, Alex found himself amused by a kilted Scottish man battling a man wielding a tube filled with sausages, and his laughter wouldn't cease. Laughing for prolonged periods of time can cause your heart rate to increase, and after 15 minutes of non-stop laughter, Alex's body became urgently deprived of oxygen. Minutes later, he suffered a stroke and died of laughter. Follow because part 2 is crazy.
Creature caught on camera. While camping, a group notices one of the girls is missing.
Has been gone for so freaking long.
They go searching for her when they hear her scream. As they get closer, they find this teepee structure, and then this happens.
There is a creature in the Mariana Trench. 2 explorers descended to the bottom of the Mariana Trench. Little did they know that something was waiting for them there. They heard strange sounds of something grinding against the wall of their vessel and saw a massive shadow shape with 3 heads on their monitor. Despite the crew's disbelief, it was only when they reached the surface that they realized that their 5-inch thick vessel had been damaged beyond repair. Did they stumble upon the mythical creature known as Leviathan? Follow because my next story is crazy. Disturbing unsolved disappearances. On the summer day of 2014, Lars Matejk and his friends were vacationing in Bulgaria. While watching a soccer match, he got into a fight with 4 other men, leading to an injury to his ear, causing him to have to stay a few days longer while his friends flew back home. But something strange happened. His mother received a distressing call from him saying 4 men were coming to kill him. The next day at the airport, CCTV footage shows him dropping all his luggage and sprinting out while screaming, "I don't want to die here," before climbing over a barbed wire fence and vanishing. Follow because my next story is crazy. Could this experiment reveal why we sleep? 5 prisoners of war in the Soviet Russia were forced to endure a cruel experiment. Locked in a gas chamber with no sleep for 30 days, they slowly lost their mind. On the 9th day of no sleep, one prisoner began screaming until he tore his vocal cords. The other prisoners covered the windows and ripped out their organs, yet somehow remained alive for some time. Wanting to figure out what happened, one of the researchers stayed behind to investigate, and when he asked the remaining prisoner who he was, he replied,
I am the evil part of your mind only kept inside by sleeping.
Some people believe this is just a creepypasta, but what if it isn't? Follow because my next story is crazy. 3 men just disappeared. On December 17th, 3 men arrived at the Flannan Isles to begin their 2-week watch at the lighthouse. They started their week and everything seemed normal, but then a ship that was passing by reported that the lighthouse was not showing any light. When a supply ship arrived on December 21st, the people on the ship realized something was wrong. The door to the lighthouse was locked from the inside. There was food that had been prepared but not eaten. It looked like none of them had left the building since they arrived. The most mysterious detail of all is the storm that occurred on December 14th. Before the storm, everything seemed normal with no hint of what made these men disappear. Afterwards, there was only one final journal entry from that day reading, "Storm ended, sea calm, God is over all." All that remained were unanswered questions as to what happened that fateful day. Follow because my next story is crazy. She should have looked behind her. A woman was at a basketball game one evening. As she made her way back home, she noticed a red truck following her every move. The driver started to flash the high beams of the truck into the woman's car, flooding it with light and causing her to panic. When she finally reached her driveway and honked the horn, calling for help, her father rushes out of the house, only to find out that it wasn't the driver of the truck she had to worry about, but someone else in the back seat of her car. The man in the truck was trying to save her. Follow because my next story is crazy. Disturbing Disappearances Episode 2. In the summer of 2014, two Dutch college students set off on a leisurely walk in Panama. Weeks later, their blue backpack was found containing their cell phones and a camera. And on that camera was photos of their neatly arranged belongings and one of the girls appearing hurt. Scattered remains were later found at the remote camp with no explanation to this day as to what happened. Follow because my next story is crazy. Did the Nazis make it to Mars? During World War II, a team of German researchers went to Antarctica to set up a base, but they found something they did not expect. They met an advanced race from Mars. This race was believed to have shared knowledge of their advanced craftsmanship and engineering abilities, specifically the construction of what is known as the Haunebu 4 aircraft. Making this theory even more mysterious are the pictures from NASA's Mars mission. The pictures show evidence of advanced structures and a water system on Mars. This raises the question, why were the ancient Martians so advanced? Follow because my next story is crazy. Did the Nazis develop otherworldly technology? Housed in a secret facility beneath a stone structure called the Hinge stood a 15-foot tall craft, and it was decorated with mysterious hieroglyphics. It's said that within lay two cylinders filled with an experimental liquid called Serum 525, and it's rumored that once activated, this craft unleashed visions of past and future, bending time and space. But after suffering defeat, it seemed that those in possession of Die Glocke vanished into thin air along with all their technology, leaving one question echoing through time: who has the bell? Follow because my next story is crazy. Were the pyramids built by aliens? Mysterious shafts built into the structures of the pyramids have left us all wondering. That's until Christopher Dunn created a scaled down replica and found that when water was poured into it, it resonated at a frequency so powerful it emitted electrons. To put this back to scale, some say the energy is equivalent to or even more than that of an earthquake. Even Nikola Tesla, who harnessed energy from the atmosphere with his famous Tesla Tower, drew inspiration from the pyramids. Could there be an advanced technology hidden away in these structures by a more advanced civilization or even an alien race? Follow because my next story is crazy. Did the police stage his death? Mystery surrounds the story of John Lang. He posted on Facebook that the police would kill him that weekend, and then shortly after his death, his YouTube page went viral. Videos showed a large group of officers standing in front of his house in the middle of the night, as well as what appeared to be plainclothes police officers casing his property. Perhaps the most mysterious video is one where a van pulls up and a man with a high-tech camera begins recording from outside of Lang's home. The house burned down and Lang was found inside with stab wounds on his back and stomach that were ruled self-inflicted. Still, questions linger about what happened to John Lang. Follow because my next story is crazy. They should not have ventured into the woods. In early 2010, two 15-year-old kids were camping with their families when they decided to venture into the dark woods. After daring each other to go as far as possible without using their flashlights, they inched into the darkness little by little. As they were walking slowly, they heard a whisper coming from behind them. Scared, they pulled out their flashlights and looked around, but nothing was there. They put the lights away and ventured deeper into the woods. A few minutes later, they heard the whispering again. Sure that something was following them, they turned on the flashlights and saw a frail woman down on all fours, looking from behind the tree. When spotted, the woman stood up and said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm looking for my campsite." The scary thing is that the nearest campsite was a mile away. Follow because my next story is crazy. What she saw was terrifying. 2013 and Amy took her dog outside and put her on a leash to use the bathroom before bed. She would always stay outside for a few minutes and then scratch on the door to get back in. But Amy was startled when just a few seconds later the dog started scratching at the door. Thinking it was way too soon, she looked through the peephole. That's when she saw a deranged looking man standing there with something behind his back, looking directly at the door handle, just waiting to be let in. When she didn't open, he scratched at the door again. Frightened but remembering her dog was still out there, she ran to the side window to see if she could see her, but she was gone. She ran back to the door looking through the hole and the man had vanished, but her dog was there waiting to get in. The scary thing is that the leash had been cut, meaning the man had a knife. Follow because my next story is crazy. Is time travel possible? This is a question that has been debated for centuries. Some believe it is possible, while others feel that it could be possible with the right technology. At Thompson Park in New York City, there have been reports of visitors experiencing what could be considered time slips or distortions. Several people have come forward saying that they've gotten lost or become disoriented in the park, despite only being gone for just a short amount of time. Furthermore, investigators have noticed an unusually high electromagnetic field surrounding the park, which may provide evidence of time travel possibilities. Whether or not these occurrences are signs of time travel remains to be seen, but one thing is certain. Thompson Park has a mysterious aura about it. Follow because my next story is crazy. What is the government not telling us about this hole? There is a mysterious 80,000 feet deep hole in Washington State right next to the Yakima Training Center. Mel Waters, who made a call to the local radio station back in 1997, has described strange occurrences near that hole, such as black beams shooting out of it and his neighbor's dead dog coming back to life after being thrown in. Allegedly, Mel was paid off by the government to remain quiet about it, and satellite images of Mel's property has been intentionally blurred, leaving us to speculate what is going on. Follow because my next story is crazy. What happened to Kenny Veach? Kenny was a 47-year-old Las Vegas resident who made himself somewhat famous online after posting a comment on a YouTube video titled "Son of an Area 51 Technician." In his post, he claimed that he had found a strange cave shaped like an M while hiking near the Nellis Air Force Base that caused his body to vibrate and gave him feelings of dread. Kenny ventured out in the search of the cave a third time and never returned, prompting his girlfriend to file a missing person report. A search party was sent out, but his cell phone was found abandoned near an entrance to an old mine shaft. Despite extensive searches, no traces of Kenny have ever been found, and what happened to him remains unknown. What do you think happened to Kenny? Follow because my next story is crazy. Did this man step through a time portal? In 1996, Frank was on Bold Street in Liverpool shopping with his wife when he had a strange experience. As he attempts to cross the road, he was almost hit by a car. When he looked up, everything around him had changed. Dylan's bookstore, which is where he was headed, was gone, and a store selling what seemed like outdated woman's clothing was in its place. Everyone around him seemed to be dressed decades older than he was. Suddenly, he noticed a young girl dressed in 90s fashion entering the shop and quickly followed, only to find that it had become Dylan's once again. Was Frank passing through a time portal? Follow because my next story is crazy. This story will give you chills. Adrian's parents left on a date on Friday night and Adrian stayed home to work on some school papers. He was wearing noise-canceling headphones so he couldn't hear anything else. A few hours later, his mom yelled from downstairs and he took off his headphones to find out what she wanted. She was standing in the living room looking at muddy footprints on the rug. Adrian looked around. He hadn't left his desk. They realized that no footprints were leaving the house. Suddenly, terror fills their mind. Someone is still in the house. They race into the garage and phone the police, who arrive quickly, making a chilling discovery upstairs. Adrian's bedroom door had been left open all night, and written on it with a Sharpie was a minute-by-minute breakdown of everything Adrian was doing, indicating that for hours someone had been watching him from his doorway. Follow because my next story is crazy. She should have burned the house down. It was 1989 and Cindy just moved into her new home in California. She was sitting in her living room reading the paper when she hears a strange noise coming from the attic, as if someone was crawling around and tapping on the ceiling. Scared but wondering what was happening, she pulls down the attic access. That's when she saw it. A figure that appeared to be an older man staring right at her. and then he just disappeared. Sure, it was a ghost. She called up a team of paranormal investigators, and what happens next proves something sinister was going on. Two men arrive, not sure that what they've been told was true. They walk through the front door and the lights just go out, and it's now pitch black in the home. Seconds later, one of the men lets out a scream and then goes silent. Not having a flashlight, the other investigator uses the camera flash to look around the room, capturing one of the creepiest photos in paranormal history. His partner is tied to a beam on the ceiling. Follow, because my next story is crazy.